That's all right. So ask them to first return to work.
Yes.
Once they return to work, then if nobody is going to take any adverse action against the doctors,
That
or come back to work.
word from your lordship will work not for them.
Let them first come back to work, and then if there's any difficulty, just talk to us in the court here. We make sure that there is no adverse action against the doctor.
Very good.
We quite see that they were all upset about the fact that there was a very serious incident which took place, but let them first report to work, and then
They have reported back, not they have reported back.
rest assured, please rest assured that once the doctors, we hope, resume duty, then we will prevail upon the authorities not to take any
Adverse.
adverse action.
Yes.
But they must first come back to duty for the simple reason, otherwise the people who people who need the services the most are deprived of those services. That's the only concern. How does the public health infrastructure run if the doctors don't resume work? If we start now asking for the representatives of various stakeholders to be a part of the committee, that becomes an impossible process, because the committee's work will then get dislocated. You know what happens, you have such an experience yourself. At the same time, we are conscious of the fact that the primary concerns of the doctors, the nurses, the paramedical staff, is to be taken into account by the members of the committee. We know for two things that on the committee there are very senior women doctors in the committee. The doctors who are on the committee are people who have worked for a long time in their life as part of public health infrastructure. Therefore, what we have expected the committee to do is that the committee will hear these various stakeholders, namely the
My Lord, may I mention, Lord, on behalf of the AIMS doctor residents, Lord, Nagpur, Lord. Lord, on account of their being participating in the agitation and the protest, Lord, now they are being victimized, Lord, on one ground or the other, being marked absent.
if they are not on
Lord, but they were doing the emergency duties, Lord. But because they were participating in the
are they at work? If they are not at work, they'll be marked absent. How can we ask them to do something?
not allowing in the exams, Lord, in one way or the other, Lord. If a lenient will be taken, Lord, if a lenient will be taken.
If they are on duty, they will not be marked absent. If they are not on duty, the law will have to follow its course. How can we tell the administration to write something which is not correct?
Not with respect to the exams and all that, Lord, the lenient will be taken, Lord, because of this reason, Lord, they were on protesting or on strike.
That's all right. So ask them to first return to work.
Yes.
Once they return to work, then if nobody is going to take any adverse action against the doctors,
That
all
will
come back to work.
Word from your lordship will work not for them.
Let them first come back to work, and then if there's any difficulty, just talk to us in the court here. We'll make sure that there is no adverse action against the doctors.
Very well.
We quite see that they were all upset about the fact that there was a very serious incident which took place, but let them first report to work, and then once having reported,
They have reported back, Lord. They have reported back. They have reported back. AIMS Nagpur reported back, Lord. The resident doctor, they have joined the.
This issue, my lord.
Not just mention on behalf of PGI Chandigarh. Your Lordship, there is Lordship in PGI Chandigarh. They are going in for a rally for 2 hours in the morning, but they are doing all their duties. But for 9 days, their CL has been deducted now from the leave. So that is a victimization.
Yes,
You also have to write the research papers and.
I don't think somebody like Dr. Vivek Lal, he's the director at PGI Chandigarh, that he will do anything which amounts to victimization.
Lordship, I'm only saying
They're all very ultimately the directors of these institutions.
Yes, he made a
They
statement.
also have their heart with the doctors, but
Yes,
they are in a
Lordship.
situation where poor people who come to those institutions cannot be left behind in the lurch.
Yes, sir.
That they take appointments 2 years before the actual date, and then suddenly you're told that you will not be attended to. Let them all resume work, and I'm sure the directors are all very seasoned directors who spend their life in these institutions. They're not going to do anything against the doctors.
I think
Right now, the notice that they have been given is that since or for 9 days you've been on the rally, so we are deducting your 9 days of casual leave.
We'll pass some general order.
Yes.
Pass some general order on that.
Lordship, may I make
Lord, may
one-
I say something?
Please rest assured that once the doctors, we hope, resume duty, then we will prevail upon the authorities not to take any
adverse.
adverse action.
Yes.
But they must first come back to duty for the simple reason. Otherwise, the people who
They are on duty. They are,
people
all of them are on
people who need the services the most are deprived of their
Yes.
services. That's the only concern. How does the public health infrastructure run if the doctors don't resume work?
Lord, only my Lord,
All
one
right,
thing.
now first let's have the status report. We first want to see
Lord,
the
these are
status
the three
report.
copies. Lord, I believe the anguish of the doctor is correct, but having come from your lordships, an assurance that your lordships are looking into it, my Lord, I think that should satisfy.
Malaja.
With the assurance of no adverse action, my lords.
Lords, we are absolutely, my lord, grateful to your lordships that lordships have intervened. Lords, we have not been heard, my lords, at all. Our grievances, my lord, are at the forefront because we are, my lord, facing the brunt of this, my lord, whatever is
Well, the
happening.
reason why we constituted such a broad-based committee is that we have specifically said that the committee shall engage with all stakeholders, including, that will include the resident doctors. So please assure them,
Yes.
please assure them that the committee, one second, Mr. Ansari. Please assure the resident doctors, they all are young doctors, that they will be heard by the.
We heard, my lord, and some representation.
But tell us one thing, we can hear you,
Federation.
Mr. Kamath. We hear you for half an hour. We are not the committee.
Lord,
Ultimately, you have to be heard by the committee.
Yes, what we were requesting, my lord, some, my lord's association, whatever your lordships choose, my lord, some representative from the resident doctors association, if they can be a
Yes.
part of the committee.
Yes.
So their
One
voice,
second, Mr.
I'm
Ansari.
sorry, I'm not saying.
You see, please understand.
we leave it to your lordships, my lord.
Mr. Kamath,
Want
please
the voice-
understand. We have thought through this very carefully. If we start now asking for the representatives of various stakeholders to be a part of the committee, that becomes an impossible process because, the committee's work will then get dislocated. You know what happens. You have such an experience yourself. At the same time, we are conscious of the fact that the primary concerns of the doctors, the nurses, the paramedical staff,
There's a
that has to be taken into account by the members of the committee. You know, for two things, that on the committee, we have very senior women doctors on the committee. The doctors who are on the committee are people who have worked for a long time in their life as part of public health infrastructure. So therefore, what we have expected the committee to do is that the committee will hear these various stakeholders, namely the interns, the residents, the senior residents, representatives of the nurses, the other paramedical staff. So therefore, they are in a hospital, there are a huge number of stakeholders. The committee will ensure that it will hear representative.
Hold on, my lord. In fact, I have taken instructions. I represent about 30,000 doctors.
Please, and Mr. Kamath, please tell them that the committee will definitely give them a hearing. We'll reiterate that in our order today. We will certainly, Mr. Kamath, your point is well taken. We'll make it clear.
My lords.
Absolutely, Mr. Kamath. We are grateful to you actually for personally, because our hearts go out to all those people who have to go to public hospitals. So we will make an observation that the committee would hear all stakeholders, including the Resident Doctors Association. Of course, not 30,000 doctors, but a representative. Right. And an appointment can be given to them when the committee assembles, so that the committee can, because your stake is very high and your inputs are very valuable. So please assure the resident doctors that we were now passing an order that the committee will give them a representative voice in putting forth their grievances, their working conditions, so on and so forth.
Suggestions.
Today and
With our suggestion,
and then call off their, my lord's protest. My lord.
we will also say that.
My lord,
My lord,
can
my lord,
add
I
what
appear for
lordship
the
permitted me to
RG
add?
car.
Can I?
Mr. Ansari and then Mr.
Yes.
My lord, I appear for the Delhi Medical Association.
Yes.
My lord, we filed a writ petition in 2022, my lord, raising the same grievance.
Right.
This court says, as and when any incident happened, my lord, we are grateful to your lordship. Lordship could show moto. Otherwise, we were contemplating to file. There is a judicial order there. Any order, my lord, any incident happened, then you come to us, my lord. My lord, now, my lord, we are the association of 110 years old. As Mr. Kamath has said, my lord, there is being a part of the committee. My lord, can I? I'm so
Can
sorry.
we just suggest one thing?
Yes,
I think
my lord.
because in such a large matter,
Yes.
we have to bring
Yes.
some order to the
My lord.
order also, which we pass.
Please, your lordship. My lord.
If all of you who are intervening for various bodies
Yes.
can give on a on a slip of paper,
Yes,
name of the body
yes,
and whom you represent.
very well.
We will put that in our order
I understand.
so that your
I-
clients have that assurance that look, the Supreme Court is also factored in our
I understand, my lord. That will be very useful.
So
my lord.
then we will say that out of these, the committee may take an appropriate decision on engaging with the representative.
But all that we were saying, my lord, the committee constitute of a very respectable persons, my lord. Lordship has chosen them. But some representation from the associations, my lord, those who face day-to-day, my lord, problems, making representation to the committee and being a part of the committee, my lord, would be a little, my lord, we have been hesitating this law. I'm sure, but Lordship thinks it appropriate. Lordship may take it, my lord.
I'll get a response from.
That would be very helpful.
Just I had made two more aspects, my lord. Two more small aspects. Lordship has flagged, my lord, about 11 issues which the committee will take into account. Two more aspects, if your lordships can kindly consider that. One is, my lord, the distress call, my lord, we mentioned it day before yesterday. Lordship said it will be part of the order, my lord. I have seen, my lord, it is distress call system, my lord, which is available, my lord, on drop on a watch, on a mobile, my lord. That can also be, my lord, a part of it. Secondly, my lord, institutional FIR, my lord. What has been happening here is, my lord, the parents has to go, the relatives has to go. There should be an institutional FIR within 2 hours of a cognizable offence, my lord. If that also comes with your lordship, part of the order, my lord. And finally, my lord, the fast tracking of, my lord, we have done cases 10 years back, my lord. The trial is still proceeding. But in 2016, my lord, a person was murdered, a doctor was murdered inside the hospital, my lord, at a point blank range, my lord. Nothing happened. There was a widespread agitation. The chief minister said 50.
We got that.
What I'm saying, there are similar matters pending in this court. If a lordship expedite that.
To obviate, handing over slips, but we'll go about in a very systematic way.
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Devdatta Kamath is appearing for whom?
No, Federation of Residents.
Instead of your lordships writing down, let us
Yeah,
give
Can you
it.
just, it will be easier for us.
It would be
We'll spend the
easier.
next 5 minutes.
It doesn't look good also.
All right.
Your
My lord,
lordships are very kind.